Here we are. In this recording, I will discuss Kantian priority rules, or how Kantians settle moral dilemmas or address situations where they are confronted with bad choices and it looks like they have to violate one of their rules, one of their own rules. So in this slide, before I talk about the text, I'm going to go back to the example, to the counter example presented to Kant when he was alive. So this is the one that I discussed in the classroom in our session this week. So kung maalala nyo, ito yung meron kayong kaibigan dito sa scenario na ito. Meron kayong isang kaibigan, may humahabol sa kanya na gusto siyang patayin at nagtago siya sa bahay nyo. Tapos dumating din yung humahabol sa kanya at hinahanap siya. Okay. So, kung ang options mo lamang dito, may kumakatok na mamamatay tao sa bahay mo, may gustong patayin na nagtatago sa loob ng bahay, kung ang pagpipilian mo lamang, magsisinungaling ka dun sa taong yon na kumakatok o hindi, parang madali itong sagutin kung utilitarian ka, kung rule utilitarian ka, kung ginagamit mo yung common sense mo, madali yung sagot. Kasi lesser evil na wag mo sabihin kung nasan yung kaibigan mo kasi talagang sa pagkakataong ito, delikado yung buhay niya. Kaya mahalaga na protektahan siya. Simple lang naman na sabihin, wala siya dito o nakita ko tumakbo siya papunta doon, papalayo para lumayo na yung taong gustong manakit sa kanya. So, ang problema dito, Kantians seem to be inclined to give an unacceptable answer. Or to be fair, maybe it's not the Kantians who are not inclined to give an unacceptable answer, but it is Kant himself, right? So one thing that I want you to notice is that even great philosophers, or maybe even especially great philosophers who have come up with these interesting and useful ethical theories, sometimes run into problems applying their own ideas. And I think this is one of those cases where the philosopher himself, Kant, is wrong about what his theory requires. Pero sa pamamagitan ng halimbawang ito, makikita natin na talagang kailangan natin itong priority rule. So ano ba ang gagawin natin dito? Kung gusto pa rin natin gamitin yung Kantian deontology para makita natin kung paano talaga tumatakbo itong logic nitong ethical theory na ito. Okay, una sa lahat, bago natin balikan yung quote dito mula sa Golden Rule Rationalized na papel, ugatin natin kung ano yung pinanggagalingan ng problema. Kantians would say that the moral dilemma contained in the murder at the door example and similar cases where there is a dilemma because we are only left with bad options, these things arise because of three things. And we can generalize these three things and we can give examples under each one. The first one is evil, or bad will, a failure to act on goodwill. And this seems to be what's going on in the murder at the door example. The dilemma is created by a person, the murderer, who made the decision to use his freedom in a certain way. You can't choose for him. He's autonomous. He's using his freedom in a bad way. But, now that he is trying to do something evil, namely kill your friend, what are you going to do about it? If you are going to be very strict in following prohibitions and being rational and being truthful, then it looks like you're going to allow or even enable a person with evil will to get his way. So una, moral dilemmas come from evil. So when somebody else or some group makes a bad decision, acts on bad will, then we are left with a dilemma. Are we going to violate certain rules to stop them? Or are we going to strictly abide by the rules and the principles that we have, even if they may yield bad results? So una, evil yung source of problem. Second source of problem, ang tinatawag dito sa literature na imperfections in nature. Dito, sa mga pagkakataon, mga halimbawang ganito, walang masamang tao. Walang tao na pumili na gumawa ng mali. Pero may mga nangyayaring aksidente na dahil nangyari na, kailangan nating pumili. meron akong ginagamit na kaso dito para ipaliwanag kung anong itsura nitong imperfection in nature. In fact, in previous years, I used this in one of my ethics classes as a case for the midterm or the final exam. I can talk about the case, although it's not going to be in your exam, but it will help you understand what the dilemma looks like in a different case, kasi hindi lang naman yung murderer at the door yung source ng dilemma ng mga Kantian. Ito bang isang halimbawa, no? So medyo ganito yung kaso. Halimbawa, merong isang bata, sanggol, pwede natin tawaging neonate. Actually, hindi pa siya infant kasi ilang araw pa lang siyang pinapanganak. So sabihin natin pinanganak siya kahapon. Tapos ngayon, pagkatapos niya ipanganak, natuklasan ng mga doktor na meron siyang genetic disorder na may kinalaman sa dugo at kailangan niya ng blood transfusion. At itong genetic disorder na ito may kinalaman sa kakayahan ng katawan na mag-produce ng red blood cells. Kaya itong batang to, kailangan niya ng immediate blood transfusion ngayon. Tapos patuloy na kailangan i-manage yung kanyang problem with production of red blood cells. Eventually, during, let's say the baby's a boy, the baby, he will require blood transfusion throughout his life and other medical interventions. But for as long as those things are managed, he can grow up and lead a more or less healthy life. Now, here's the problem. And so this is an imperfection in nature. Pinanganak yung bata na meron siyang genetic condition na gano'n, na nangangailangan siya ng blood transfusion. Ngayon, ang further complication is that the child is born to parents who belong to a Jehovah's Witness community. Jehovah's Witness, this community are against blood transfusion. So they refuse blood transfusion because they think that blood transfusion covers or is included in the biblical prohibition, in the supposedly biblical prohibition against ingesting or eating blood. So hindi tumatanggap ng blood transfusion ng mga Jehovah's Witness. Kaya ngayon, yung mga doktor, yung mga medical professional sa ospital, gusto nilang salinan ng dugo yung bata para wag mamatay. Kasi delikado yung buhay ng bata dahil kukulang ang kanyang red blood cells. So, gustong sagipin ng mga doktor yung bata, pero yung mga magulang, ayaw nilang tanggapin yung paraan ng pagsagip dun sa bata. Kasi ayaw nilang tanggapin yung blood transfusion kasi nga sabi nila bawal yun sa relihiyon namin, bawal yun, hindi kami papayag na yung anak namin bibigyan nyo ng blood transfusion kasi sa religious belief namin, sa paniniwala namin, bawal yun. Kaya ang gusto ng mga magulang, iuwi na lang daw nila yung anak nila at sabi ng doktor, pagka ginawa mo yan, mamamatay yung bata kasi kailangan niya ng certain amount ng red blood cells. At ang pinakamabilis na paraan para bigyan yung bata ng ganun, blood transfusion nga. So it looks like in this case, so in the murder at the door example, it's about preventing a killing, preventing a murder from happening, and telling the truth. Yun yung kailangan pagpilian. Dito naman, it looks like we can protect the child's life, and we can even talk about the child's right to live and to grow up. And the parents' religious freedom. Yun yung problema dito. So ano yung papanigan natin? Kung utilitarian ka, consequences ngayon titignan mo, di ba? So kung Kantian ka, ano yung titignan mo kung hindi consequence? So yun ang problema ng mga Kantian. Isa pang pinanggagalingan ng mga problemang parang ganito, effects of historical injustice. Actually, itong effects of historical injustice, katuloy ito noong problem of evil. Ang nangyari lang dito, yung bad will, yung mga taong gumawa ng masama, ginawa nila yung kasamaan nila nung nakaraan, mga 100-200 taon na nakalipas, tapos may epekto pa rin yun sa lipunan. Kaya hinahirapan tayong pumili. Parang kailangan nating labagin yung mga prinsipyo natin para lang makakilos tayo. So yun yung problema, no? At yun yung pangangailangan kung bakit kailangan natin ng Kantian priority rule. So ito ulit yung text, iniba ko lang yung picture just to give you the idea that we're talking about this case involving the child needing blood transfusion apart from the murder at the door. So what's the solution? One solution comes from this Kantian philosopher, Alan Gewirth, and he has a paper called the Golden Rule Rationalized. So what do we prioritize and why? And how is this still consistent with Kantian principles? Okay, babasahin ko yung sipi mula sa papel ni Gewirth at tapos ipapaliwanag ko. Sabi niya, the fact that the generic rights are derived from the necessary conditions of agency provides a rational basis for resolving conflicts among specific rights. For, other things being equal, one right takes precedence over another to the degree to which the former is more necessary for action than is the latter. So, sinasabi dito na yung mga karapatan, baka maaari din natin sabihin, may mga tungkulin na mas malapit dun sa kahingian na maging autonomous tayo. There are things that are more necessary for rational willing. What is more necessary for rational willing? Being alive or having access to information about where a certain person is. Ang more necessary for rational willing ay being alive. Kasi syempre, kung wala ka nung being alive, game over na. Wala nang pwedeng piliin, hindi na pwedeng maging autonomous. So, murder at the door, if you look at the would-be murderers' right to information and your friend's right to life, it is obvious that your friend's right to life is more necessary for rational willing. And that is why that is the right that must be prioritized. So, despite what Kant said during his life, some Kantians today, including Christine Korsgaard, are now talking about the right to lie. That sometimes it's the right thing to do to lie because that is the rational thing to do and the only thing to do that will protect autonomy. Pagka pinuntahan naman natin yung kaso ng batang nangangailangan ng blood transfusion, pag kinilatis nating mabuti yon, marami rin tayong matututunan. Dun sa kaso na binibigay ko sa mga estudyante ko noong nakaraang taon, so nagtatalo doon yung magulang ng bata dahil sinasabi lang, ayaw namin ng blood transfusion, huwag yung bigyan ng blood transfusion yung anak namin. Tapos nakikipagtalo yung doktor, kinukumbinsi sila, may social worker, sabihin na natin, kinukumbinsi nila sila na, sige na po, pumayag na kayo na bigyan ng blood transfusion yung anak nyo para wag mamatay, para lumaki siya ng malusog. Tapos sasabihin ng magulang, kasi alam naman namin na hindi papayag yung mga elders ng community namin na pumayag kami sa blood transfusion na yan, itatakwin nila kami. Kasi nitong nakaraan lang, merong isang miyembro ng komunidad namin, Jehovah's Witness community, may isang matandang lalaki, 70 years old siya, may cancer siya, nagkaroon siya ng tumor, yung cancer niya, bleeder, yung tinatawag na bleeder na tumor, palaging nagdudugo, kaya kailangan niya ng blood transfusion, tapos humingi siya ng special permission, sabihin na natin, para mabigyan siya ng blood transfusion dahil kailangan niya, dahil nasa bleeder yung cancerous tumor niya. Tapos tinanggihan yung matandang lalaking yon. Kaya nga sabi ng itong mga magulang na ito, kaya nga alam namin natatanggihan din ng komunidad namin itong hinihingi nyo na bigyan ng blood transfusion yung aming anak. Ngayon, pansinin natin na may malaking pagkakaiba yung katayuan nung sanggol at saka nung matandang lalaking yon. At yung mahalagang pagkakaibang yun, may kinalaman sa kalayaan. That 70-year-old man chose to be a Jehovah's Witness and to live as a Jehovah's Witness, as part of that community, to live out his faith. He has exercised his religious freedom. The child cannot do that yet. And unless the child grows up and is given the opportunity to choose, he cannot even have religious freedom if he does not live. Right? So, dito, which is the more necessary right or more necessary ability for rational willing, it is still the one connected to remaining alive. Kaya dito, sa mga kasong ganito, the prioritization is given to the vulnerable person, the vulnerable autonomy of the child. And in other countries, when there are cases like this, sometimes the courts are asked to intervene. So minsan nagkakaroon ng kaso korte, dumarating sa korte kasi nagsasampa ng kaso yung mga doktor, sabihin na gusto namin isagipin itong batang ito, ayaw tanggapin ng mga manggulang yung panggagamot na gusto namin gawin. Ang ginagawa dito ng mga korte sa ibang bansa, sinasabi nila na parents are allowed to use their freedom to sacrifice their health for their religious beliefs, but parents are not allowed to use their children, to sacrifice their children to promote the parents' religious belief. So ginagalang din yung vulnerable status ng mga kabataan kasi nga hindi sila pinagalagaan para nagiging kasangkapan sila doon. Pero kinikilala din ng mga korte na magiging vulnerable yung bata kung halimbawa binigyan mo ng blood transfusion yung baby tapos wala na siya sa kustodiya ng kanyang mga magulang. Siyempre, nasa vulnerable state pa rin siya kasi walang mag-aalaga sa kanya. So, what happens in decisions like that is to compel the parents to submit the child for life-saving treatment, but to allow the child to remain in the parents' custody. So prioritization, ang tinitignan mo rin dito, alin ba yung pagka hindi ko pinagtuunan ng pansin, game over na, wala nang autonomy, wala nang future freedom, wala nang future possibility. Sa mga moral dilemma, makikita natin yon. So ang sagot ng Kantian, i-prioritize mo yon. Prioritize mo yung pagsalba ng in these two cases, the person fleeing from the murder at the door and the child needing blood transfusion, it is the right to life. Bago natin iwanan itong kaso nitong blood transfusion for the baby, meron lang akong idadagdag na isang mahalagang punto na natutunan ko sa mga estudyante ko noong nakaraang taon. Kasi isang beses, ibinigay ko yung kaso na yan, yung baby na nangangailangan ng blood transfusion. At hindi ko alam noon, nung semester na yon, meron pala akong isang estudyante dun sa klase na yon na kabilang siya sa isang Jehovah's Witness community. At nagsulat siya ng napaka-interesanteng papel tungkol dito. Ito yung final paper niya. I really learned a lot from that paper. And she was saying something like, it is wrong for the parents to just refuse treatment, bring the child home, and allow the child to die. Parang let the child die. Basically, if you bring the child home, the child will die. So this student, she said, this is wrong because this is also against the principles and the beliefs of their community. That life is sacred, for instance. Tapos meron pang isang estudyante na nagsabi na it's also a practical contradiction to promote your beliefs, promote your religious beliefs, by allowing your child to die. Because if you do that, that's self-sabotage. That's doing something that will actually jeopardize your faith. That's the kind of thing that makes people lose faith, lose their religious faith, and even lose faith in everything. So it is a practical contradiction. So sana nakikita natin dito na yung practical contradiction idea, you look at the goal that the agent has. In this case, there are two agents, the parents, and the means with which the agents chose to promote the goal. It's self-sabotage. So makikita yon, and that's why they should not do it. And if we use this pattern of reasoning when we engage with people, we can actually meet them where they are. We can actually engage with their will, with their reason, instead of imposing natural purposes from above or principles that may have nothing to do with what they actually want. Okay, so nakakita na tayo ng Kantian priority rule. Palawakin pa natin kung ano yung gustong mangyari nitong mga Kantian. So ito naman si Course Guard, meron siyang papel na parang, pinag-usapan niya talaga yung halimbawa na lumabas nung yung murder at the door example. Sikat na sikat yun, kaya maraming meme, pag naganap kayo sa Facebook o sa internet, maraming meme tungkol dyan. So ang solusyon ni Course Guard dito, kilalanin na sa mga kaso ng imperfection in nature and evil, minsan itatabi natin yung humanity formula at aalagaan natin yung timing kung kailan natin sila kung kailan natin babalikan yung humanity formula, ipa-prioritize natin na masalba yung vulnerable autonomy at the present time. So this is a paper that's actually entitled The Right to Lie, Kant on Dealing with Evil. Sabi ni Christine Korsgaard, the formula of humanity is stricter and gives implausible answers when we are dealing with the misconduct of others and the recalcitrance of nature. So imperfection of nature, recalcitrance of nature, pareho yun, kagaya ng mga aksidente na nangyari na may isang batang nangangailangan ng blood transfusion na isinilang sa magulang na hindi tumatanggap ng treatment na ganon. Paliwanag pa ni Korsgaard, people in stultifying economic or educational conditions cannot really be expected to devote all their spare time in the cultivation of perfectionist values, but they can be expected not to do what is impermissible, not to violate the formula of universal law. Here again, the formula of humanity sheds light on the situation, even if it is not directly applied. It tells us why it is morally, as well as in other ways regrettable, that people should be in such conditions. So, ang sagot kasi dito ni Korsgaard, pagka magkaroon tayo ng maxim na ganito, lie in order to prevent a death. What if there was a world in which everybody lied in order to prevent a death? So sa mundong yon, maisasalba siguro yung maraming tao na tinutugis kagaya nung panahon ng Nazi period sa World War II na may mga tao na tinutugis para ikulong sila, para patayin sila. Magsisinungaling yung mga tao, itatago sila. Is it a world where trust falls apart and there's no more truth-telling? No. Kasi very specific yung coverage ng lying. So pagka naman nagsinungaling ka sa isang taong may bad will, hindi mo pa rin sinunod yung humanity formula. Pero kasi yung pagsisinungaling dun sa murder at the door, actually meron yung may question yun about timing. Pwede mo sabihin sa kanya kung nasan yung kaibigan mo, pero hindi kailangan ngayon. Pwede bukas pag nakatakas na o hindi mo na alam kung nasan yung kaibigan mo. Ito rin yung dahilan kung bakit sa maraming pagkakataon, kahit na merong freedom of information or requirement to be transparent to the public, sometimes groups or governments conceal information about special operations so that people are not put at risk. So medyo ganun yun, So the may timing na kahalo yun. Yung pagka tinignan mo naman yung kaso ng batang nangangailangan ng blood transfusion, pagka kasi pinrioritize natin yung kapakanan ng bata na huwag siyang mamatay, tapos nalabag yung religious freedom ng mga magulang, pwedeng remedyohan pa rin yun Pero pagka nalabag yung kapakanan ng bata, namatay na siya, yun nga, game over na, tapos na. So, yun yung dahilan kung bakit ang sinasabi ng mga Kantian, kailangan natin may priority rule and we prioritize the rights and the obligations and the actions that will attend to things that are more necessary for rational willing. So, pagka ginagamit natin yung Kantian deontology sa mga kaso na kagaya nito, ang pinakamahalaga yung formula of universal law. Kahit na sinasabi ng mga Kantian at ni Kant mismo na maraming formulations yung categorical imperative, ang pinakamahalagang formulation ng categorical imperative yung formula of universal law. It is also the part of the theory that is the most relevant for application to cases. It is also the part of the theory that is most permissive. Yun ang pinapabayaan tayong maging malaya sa pag-formulate ng ating maxim. Pero hindi tatakbo yung application ng formula of universal law kung wala tayong proposals . So kailangan gamitin natin ng kalayaan natin na mag-formulate ng mga maxim na kompleto. Something to do and the reason for doing it. So sa pag-apply nitong Kantian deontology, yun ang gagawin nyo sa brainstorming at medyo matagal to gawin. Kasi sa simula, makakapag-formulate kayo ng mga maxim na hindi makakarating sa final draft kasi ang pinag-uusapan doon pala, hindi pala tama yung maxim na yun. So, madalas mag-formulate ka ng maxim, tas isa pa ulit, hanggang makarating ka doon sa combination, usually several maxims, probably 2 to 4, where a combination of things that all pass the twin Earth thought experiment, and when done together, address the important issues at hand. So ganito yung steps ng application ng Kantian deontology. Formulate maxims for the option, formulate several maxims, test them separately for universalizability, gagamitin yung twin Earth thought experiment. Identify the option that does not involve any practical contradictions. If in case there are conflicting duties, prioritize the duty that is more necessary for later possibilities in terms of autonomy. And then if the humanity formula cannot be strictly followed at the present time, you must be able to say how the humanity formula is going to be addressed at a later time. At kung pinili nyo naman na isali yung ilang mga virtue doon sa pagpapaliwanag nyo ng Kantian deontology, pwede nyo ring ipaliwanag kung paano makakatulong yung virtue na tinalakay nyo. Halimbawa yung honesty, yung grupo na nagtalakay ng honesty sa group project. Yung honesty kasi, it's about telling the truth at a time and a place and in a manner that's appropriate. So in that sense, it's really doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason in the right manner. So kaya nga yung sinasabi ko na yung pagsasabi doon sa mamatay tao, nasan yung kaibigan mo, pwede mo namang sabihin pwede kang magsabi sa kanya ng totoo, pero mahalaga yung timing doon. Pagka ang tina-timing natin yung panahon na pwedeng mapatay yung kaibigan natin, parang hindi na pagsasabi ng totoo yung interes, hindi siya virtuous action. In that sense, it also does not fulfill our obligations to respect autonomy. Okay, so pagpapatuloy, ito yung steps para sa pag-apply ng Kantian deontology sa mga kaso. Ito rin yung nakasulat doon sa Module 10. So kailangan mag-formulate ng maxim. Kagaya na sabi ko kanina, minsan pag komplikado yung kaso, kailangan natin ng mahigit sa isa. Pero bukod sa kailangan ng bawat isa doon, kung halimbawa may 3 kang maxim para matugunan lahat ng mga issue dun, lahat ng mahalagang issue dun sa kaso na tinatalakay nyo, kailangan ang bawat isang maxim na yon makapasa dun sa twin Earth thought experiment. Ibig sabihin, walang practical contradiction. Tapos ipapaliwanag nyo rin kung paano nagiging consistent, how they fit together, the different maxims that individually pass the formula of universal law test. So you formulate a maxim, complete maxim, you do the twin Earth thought experiment so that the formulated maxim is normalized. Tandaan nyo, balikan yung coffee drinking example, normalized ang maxim, hindi literally followed by everyone. So magkaiba yon, balikan na lang yung module 8 para malinawan. Tapos maghanap ng practical contradiction. There's no practical contradiction, then the action expressed by the maxim is permissible. So pwedeng tumuloy. Kung may practical contradiction, back to 1. Formulate another maxim. Tapos, number 4, if the humanity formula is addressed, is the humanity formula addressed? If the case is complicated, baka ang sagot, not completely. So, ang kailangan sagutin, so ano mangyayari sa susunod? Paano natin pangangalagaan yung humanity formula? Okay, so yun na ang katapusan ng recording tungkol sa mga Kantian priority rule. Kung may tanong kayo, siguraduhin nyo lang na isulat at pag-isipan at ibato sa akin para masagot ko ang mga tanong nyo. Okay, that's it for this recording.